I hope this is recording because today I'm tired, but I promised myself I would do this video about nutrition, and I'm not into quarreling and I'm not into fighting with vegetarians and so on, but they know they will come to me. Uh, I have to make a disclaimer. Because I was vegetarian for just 22 years of my life, and I was pregnant as vegetarian and did my breastfeeding as vegetarian, and then I almost died. And this is one long story. When a neighbor came and hit me with a book on my head and she said, you want to die, you want to have your child to be an orphan, are you crazy woman, and so on. And then I stopped and I think to myself, yeah, if some philosophy don't show results, we should perhaps change our philosophies, don't you think so? And then I start learning about foods and processing foods again and again, because I was in the raw food movement before many people even knew that thing exists. And I damaged my thyroid, and it took me 2 years to get back to normal when it comes to my thyroid. And I damaged many things in myself being a vegetarian, and for the next, I don't know, almost 12 years I'm not vegetarian. I was a child when I started eating vegetarian food, and then I realized something about the killing and energy distribution in this universe, and so on and so on. And don't, please, just don't turn this video and discussion below it into the vegetarian and the omnivore war. I don't want that. I will just tell you about the basics of nutrition, which I'm using and which I was taught about the great teachers regarding this matter, which I was so lucky to meet them, and I'm very thankful to them because they pulled me through into health. When it comes to nutrition, you have to be aware that there is no ancient or native tribe in this planet who doesn't cook or prepare its food in any sort of way. The fire is used for metabolic processes, because yes, we originated from the animals, but yes, aliens had their part in us too. So we are dancing between the animals and the gods right now, and our stomachs are way more sensitive than which is the case with animals. So if you see the cow eating the raw grass in the fields, you have to know that this cow has one stomach or 3 or 4 stomachs more than we do, as I think that sheep has 4 stomachs. Birds have other types of digestion. They digest the grains here. I don't know the translation in English. It doesn't matter. Our stomachs are sensitive. We are preparing our foods. We can use raw food, but this raw food only has to come from the animal source. So we can eat raw meat, and we can eat raw fat and raw milk. This doesn't matter. But when it comes to the plant kingdom, we can eat raw insects also. But when it comes to the plants and mushrooms kingdoms, we have to cook them, because their cell walls are made out of cellulose, and we have to break those cell walls to enter into the cells and pull out all minerals and vitamins and liquids we need for our bodies. So if you are doing raw green juices, you know that you are just getting the sugar out of them, and in one time frame of your life you will be high. You could even be aggressive and say, hey, you stupid woman, why don't you do green juice like me? You see, I'm full of energy. Yeah, I know, because I know which kind of processes are happening in your brain right now. There are some areas of your brain which can be activated in the same manner using sugars coming from the plants and using heroin. So when I see those kind of people, I know they are on the heroin mood or cocaine mood under the drugs, and their body will hold on high level for one time, and then they will crash. And their energy supply won't be stable because they will be getting just sugar, 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 sugar. The same applies for the people who are eating starchy foods like donuts and breads and how can you say, croissants and so on, all biscuits, cookies and so on, and also eating starchy vegetables like potatoes non-stop. There are other vegetables, trust me, beside potatoes. So their brains are getting sugar, 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 and their stomachs and liver. And liver burns this sugar like if you want to light a fire. If you are using paper for this paper will just whoop, and then it will go down. And this is the same when you are feeding the sugary types of foods. It doesn't matter whether this is the green juice or this is a donut or this is a potato, raw or cooked, it doesn't matter, because your liver receives sugar, it burns, and it's gone. And you're high, you're low, high, low, high, low, and you are hungry all the time, and all you can do is eat small meals in short periods of time. So whatever you're doing, you are eating something and you are gaining weights or you are getting ill and so on. So you need a stable type of energy, like it would be in the case if you were burning a fire, but you will be using coal. So this coal will burn slowly but steadily, and your energy levels won't go up and down, up and down. You would have 2 meals a day or 1 meal a day, and you will never become hungry, and you will be very stable in your brain and in your body. You need a stable energy supplies for your body. Now, how this is done? I said meat can be eaten raw, but there is one catch 22 in this, and I had to face it a few times in my life because I had to run around asking, does this liver has parasites in it? You have to be aware about parasites, and using raw meat you have to use bitter herb, especially Artemisia vulgaris. It's the name of the plant. Cronworth, I think it's the name in English. So you'll have to use some plants you didn't use before as a medical component in your nutrition. So it doesn't matter, you can cook your meat, but I have to tell you that you shouldn't eat just steaks or hamburgers and so on. This is the worst type of meat you can eat, especially if you have a man type of body. Why? I will tell you one story. There was this guy doing researches about microbiome. As you know, we are not one person in our body. Our ego is not us, and we are not human. We are just 10% human. All other 90% are bacteria, which are supporting our systems and living together with us. We are one great big fortress or a state, mainly made out of bacteria. So we are the highest program in this system, and we are relying on the simpler types of programs which are supporting us. And this is why the human genome is not so complicated as the genome coming from potatoes, in example. And this was found out when the Human Genome Project was done a few years ago, and they were amazed how plants are way complicated than we are in genetic codes, in coding, programming, and we are so simple. But We are not so simple. We are programs who are higher than the usual plant kingdom, because we are in symbiosis with the other organisms living in us. So those organisms are bacteria mainly, and the variety of those bacteria in us will ensure good health and vitality in us. So it's very important, if you have to have probiotics, not to use the dead stuff in capsules, as one of my herbal teachers soon we said long time ago. Take a spoon and go outside, take the soil and eat the soil. And I was very not scared and not disgusted with this idea. This idea was right, but I was a bit afraid when I first started, and then I started when I do my outside trainings once a week. I take a pinch of soil and put it in my mouth, and this does good for my health, trust me. And too much clean hands, and too much insisting on cleanness and cleansing and so on won't do good for your health, because your bacteria in your system, in your body, won't be ready and won't be fed properly. So when this guy did his researches in Africa about human microbiome and diversity of bacteria, he was in this ancient African tribe, which was considered as the healthiest tribe on this world. And he just looked at them, and as native tribe, men went hunting and the women were stationary with the children, and the women went outside and took berries and seeds and nuts and everything they could find, and the women were eating all the time by a little, and women were taking in general way more carbohydrates than men, while the men had to hunt. If they don't hunt, they will die out of hunger. So their energy had to be stable, and they were taking meat mainly as their food, meat and fats, of course. But their energy was stable for all of those men, and when they hunted something, they celebrated, and they would cut the gazella, the blood spill all over, and they would take inner organs, and at the place they would eat the liver, the heart, the inner organ of the animal, and they will greet each other, "Hey man, where you are," with those bloody hands and those dirty hands, and they will kiss each other on the cheeks and so on, and they were bloody all over. This is the way how the microbiome is transferred all around. So because the inner organs of the animal were full of minerals and vitamins and strength, they used them, they eated them, they didn't take them to the women. From the ancient times, when you kill your enemy, take his heart off and then you eat his heart, and his strength comes to you. So they were eating the heart, the lungs, the liver. Especially the liver is very, very valuable for man. And they would take the legs and of the animal, so plain neat meat, and give this type of meat to their women and children. Why? Because women and children are taking way more vitamins and minerals from the fruits and from the plants and other sides, so they didn't need so much concentrated strength in the organ meat men need. So for many men, the smell of the liver, cooked or baked, could be disgusting, but just pinch your nose and eat it, because it will do you way better than a hamburger or steak or something like that. And you have to take meat with this. So there is a first distinction between a man and a woman and the children and the man. So children and women are nearly similar in their metabolism, and they are prone more to burning carbohydrates, while the men are burning proteins and fat. This is just general distinction between the sexes and so on, but don't take it so strictly. You have to be aware about the age of your age or your family member's age. So if you have small children, you will feed them in one way. If you have bigger children, you will feed them in another way. If you have a younger woman who is running all over and working hard inside of the house and in-house, travels a lot, you will feed her in one way, and this way will differ from the woman who is non-stop in the house or walks just short distances, doesn't do any hard physical exercises or work. Those two women will have different types of eating habits, or should have, if they want to be healthy. And if you have old women and old men, they will have the other eating habits in them, because many people are stepping on my head and doing dancing on my head, with the example of Nikola Tesla, who was vegetarian. And then I asked them, yeah, but when he became a vegetarian, was he vegetarian when he was 35 and all the Austro-Hungarian women were crazy about him, or he was vegetarian when he turned 70? And then he was vegetarian until he was 84, 88, I don't know exactly. So you have to think about those types of thoughts when it comes to nutrition, because when someone has 80 years and doesn't do hard work in the woods, chopping woods or carrying water, then he shouldn't have such a strong food like meats and organ meats and so on. He should be vegetarian. But when someone is 8, he shouldn't be vegetarian, because he needs the strength and he needs the building blocks to build his body or her body. So there was this guy who died at his 70s. He was killed in an accident, and this was the accident, but he was in his 70s and he looked like he has 30 years of age. Ionis van der Planets was his name, and when he was a little small boy, he was very, very ill. He had several types of cancers and diseases, heart disease, and he found the right way for him. And he found that this right way was the raw meat and raw eggs and raw milk and fat and so on. And there were some people who were raising their children by the Ionis principles, and those babies were called Ionis babies, because I saw two boys coming from Ionis' teaching. Their parents fed them as babies and toddlers with raw liver, which is crushed in food processor, and together with the raw eggs. And this is basic food for those kids. No everything which is in bags and jars and boxes was strictly forbidden for them. And those babies didn't even know that such things exist, and they even rarely took vegetables and fruits, so rarely. But those children grew up to be very strong, and I saw that those children at the age of 4 read, write, calculate numbers, do mathematics. They are way faster and they are way more genius than usual kids. Beside the fact that they are very strong, their bodies are perfect in the age of 4. Just doing raw liver and raw eggs at the same time, and this is nothing. And someone would say, aha, if the egg is infected or if the liver is infected. No, if the digestion is strong, the body should take care about this. In your particular case, you have to decide for yourself, because I don't have any right to give you any medical advice or any nutritional advice. I'm not nutritionist, I'm not doctor. And if you don't want to listen to me or take my advice, do not take it, and we will all be fine, because I don't want to be responsible for anything bad happening to you. For years I've been taking raw liver and raw eggs, and the longer I take them, the less problems I have with them, whether they are infected with something, salmonella or any other type or not. My system adjusted and I'm okay with this. Other people could be allergic to eggs, other people could have problems with the liver and so on. Do take whatever you want. But when we are talking about nutrition, it's not just that you shouldn't do, I don't know, processed foods or raw foods or something like that, because from time to time I do take processed foods and I do take raw foods and so on. You have to be aware of the fundamental importance of the season of the food. It's not normal for you to have blackberries and raspberries in the winter time when there are none outside. Uh, uh, these are two types of nurturing are popular right now, and ketogenic or ketogenic diet is number one right now. But you have to be aware of the fact that ketogenic diet is normal and usual in the winter time. Because I'm in the middle of the February right now on the northern hemisphere, this is the time for ketogenic diet. So this doesn't mean that I will eat meat, and meat the whole day, all day. This means that I will eat fat all day, the whole day. That I will eat organ meats and I will eat eggs, and from time to time I will have just two meals during the day, and I will usually have breakfast and lunch. Why? Because the night is coming early, and at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the day is over, the night is coming, and you shouldn't eat when the night is here. You should finish your meals while the day is here. So I will have just two meals today, and I will spend all my time when I'm free outside, and I will do my showering with the cold water, the same manner as my ancestors did once upon a time. So I should be outside, I should be in the cold, and I should have two meals. When people are saying ketogenic diet, you should very care, you should take care about those details, because if you eat this food at that time and this food at that time, you will ruin the cycle of lipolysis in your liver, and your liver will be out of ketogenic diet. No, there is an easy way. If I finish my last meal at 4 p.m. today and I don't take anything until 8 a.m. the next day, I have 16 hours of taking nothing of food. I can take tea without honey, without sugar, without any sweetener, and nothing more, no juices, no alcohol, nothing. And in this 16-hour span, my liver has to burn all remaining sugars, and then my liver doesn't have anything to do else than to start burning fats. If I want or if I do not want, it doesn't matter. My liver will come into lipolysis or ketosis, and I will start burning fats, and I will switch to the stable energy resource in my liver, in my stomach, and in my brain at the same time. So if you stop your meal at 4 p.m. and do not take anything until the 8 a.m. the next day, you are in ketosis, whatever you are eating that day. But in the winter time, you should eat meats, organ meats, fats, a little bit of root vegetables, and little once a week of fruits, because there are none outside. This is the winter, this is the hunting season. Yes, I know. When the spring comes, then it's time to stop eating meat. We have fasting in all religions. Why? Because animals are having their babies in those moments. If you eat animals and their babies, the next season you won't have meat to eat. So then it's the time for your fasting. You will eat wild herbs. You will make in the ancient times, this is called pottage. This was this big whole pot in each house with boiling water. It was never washed out, and the fire was never turned down. The fire always had to. This is the house fire, and whatever someone brought, whether this will be meat or a vegetable, they would put in this pot and this would be cooking. So today we have a rabbit with potatoes, and 1 month later we have just nettles in that pot, and we are eating that. So the leaves of dandelions, the nettles, all the wild and the a little bit of bitter herbs will do great for your liver, because the spring is the liver time in the Chinese system of 5 elements. And then when the summer starts, then you are eating fruits, and then you are eating vegetables, and then it's time for berries, for strawberries, blackberries, and these berries and that berries, but in their seasons. And when the fall comes, you will eat pumpkins, you will eat corn, you will eat chestnuts and all those rich foods. Why? Because you in the fall months you need to gain weight, because you will lose the weight during the winter season. So this is seasonal eating, which is very important for your thyroid. People are thinking, what's wrong with me? I'm taking a bunch of supplements and this and that, and I'm eating beautiful raspberries in my cake or raw or something like that. But this is the winter time. This is not the time for raspberries.